Okay, we're going to review or take a look at when prices are set higher than equilibrium price and also when prices are set lower than equilibrium price. This should be reviewed for some of you it may not be. So the first thing we're going to do is plot equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Equilibrium price is notated this way, equilibrium quantity is notated this way. So whenever you see demand curve and the supply curve intersecting on a worksheet, your first step should be to just go ahead and identify the equilibrium price and quantity. And that is the point where both suppliers, business owners, and customers, demanders, agree this is the point right here. This is where we agree the price and how much we were willing to buy and you're willing to supply. So we're going to plot that just as the notation showed. Here's the point. We take this over to the y-axis and we put price, E for equilibrium, and then 1. And then here's the quantity. This is what the equilibrium quantity is. Quantity, equilibrium, 1. Make sure your numbers match. Okay, now we look at what the scenario is. We're going to imagine somebody gets greedy and wants to make more of a profit and they set their price above equilibrium price. A business owner, either they're greedy or they aren't paying attention to the market price, which is here, and they set their price too high. So we're just going to pick an arbitrary spot up here and draw a line here to indicate a price. Now we're not going to put an E on this because this is not equilibrium. This is equilibrium. But they've set their price here. Now, what does that do with customers? How do customers respond to that price? Well, let's take a look. Here is where that price intersects the demand curve, and we call this quantity demanded. 2, make sure your numbers match. Okay, this is quantity demanded. And at that price, what are, of course, your business owners supply? They love higher prices. So this is how much they're willing to supply at that price. Again, make sure your numbers match. Okay, so now what we have is, remember, 0 is over here, a much higher amount that is being supplied than people are willing to purchase at that price. This is a much lower number. So we look over here, which is greater? Quantity supplied or quantity demanded? We see quantity supplied is much greater. So quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded, which means they're putting all this stuff on the shelves that they want to make money on, but they can't sell it. So what they have is a bunch of extra stuff on the shelf, which is called what? A surplus or a shortage? It's called a surplus. Now, eventually they're going to get sick of having all that extra stuff sitting on their shelves. So then, what will some businesses do to solve this problem? Okay, unless there's a law prohibiting it, they are going to do a sale to get rid of that extra stuff on their shelves. Lower prices. Maybe a clearance sale. Okay, so that's what happens when the price is set above equilibrium. What about when prices are set below equilibrium? Okay, once again, we've got a new curve, a new graph where supply and demand intersect. Your first step, just go ahead and plot equilibrium. Here's the point suppliers and customers agree on. So let's take this over to the side to indicate where that is. Equilibrium price, E for equilibrium, is our first. Bring this down, this is our quantity. Equilibrium quantity, because it's where suppliers and demand agree it should be. But we have someone who maybe hasn't done his homework, doesn't know what's going on with the market, and doesn't realize he can make more money than he is offering. So here's some business person maybe doesn't realize what's going on with the market, hasn't done his homework, hasn't done his research, and sets the price really low. We're not going to call this equilibrium price, we're just going to call this price 2, because it's definitely not equilibrium. This is equilibrium. So what's that going to do with your customers? Woohoo! People are excited. What if this is gas? Somebody sets the gas price at $1 a gallon. I would get in that line. I would wait an hour to get that. Here's customers, what they're willing to do at that price. Quantity demanded. Customers love lower prices. Make sure your numbers match. Now what about business owners? What are they doing at that price? Not excited. Not willing to offer at that price. So quantity supplied, again, make sure your numbers match. Much lower than the quantity demanded. Remember, this is 0. So which is less? Quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded, or quantity supplied is less? Quantity supplied is less than quantity demanded. So if there's tons of people wanting this thing at that price, not too many people willing to give it, what do we have? Surplus or shortage? We have a shortage. People are standing in line to get this stuff. And, you know, on Black Friday, you have riots. Well, what business wants to have regular riots at their business? So they're going to ultimately do what to solve this problem of the shortage of people fighting in the aisles to get this thing, whatever it is? Well, they're going to raise prices. Okay? So that is what happens when prices are not set at equilibrium.